Hello future tech leaders, I'm Sindhuja. Based on my own experience, I know that learning the right skills can shape our future. What if I say learning was as thrilled as the tech world itself? There we go. A cloud foundation, that's exactly what you will experience. From day one, you will be immersed in the interactive sessions and expert-led courses that covers most of the widely used technologies in the zone of data science to cloud computing, which brings more light to the life of a techie. I'm so excited to help you and unlock the true potential of a technology. Well, then why to wait? Let's see what it unfolds.
Perfect. Moving on. Here in the first half of this program, whatever we have seen, we will be focusing more on the campaign execution side. And we also cover a little bit of if consultant side because we will be also talking about what is the best practice that we have to follow here. We also be majorly talking about campaign specialists and also a consultant role in the first half of the session. When we jump into the second half of the session, it's going to be more into implementation and more into a functional side of it. And how do we bring the data? How do we create data relationship? And how do we send the data? And how do we process the data that we are getting from different sources? And that's what we will be focusing in the second half of the program. The first session. The second half of the program is going to be the journey builder. If you asked any of the SFMC specialists and if they are a campaign specialist, they would definitely say their best favorite tool is the journey builder. Perfect. Here, journey builder has a capability of combining all of your channels. Suppose if you create any user journeys, we will be able to combine all of the channels into a single place. Suppose if there are any requirements like I need to send an email for India customers, we have to send the email. For German customers, I have to trigger a push notification. And if they are from US and I would like to send them SMS communications, we will be able to play around with this kind of a filter activity and then we can use multiple channels in the single customer journey. Another use case is like I sent out the email now and some of them opened my email and some of them did not open my email. And I have like a capability in Journey Builder to see if the customers are really engaging in my email or not. That's one of the nifty features that we have in the Journey Builder. We will be able to understand if the customers are engaging with my communication or not. Perfect. And if they are not communicating, if they are not engaging, I send out the different channel communication. Instead of sending out the email again, I send out the push notification and I even check the engagement if it's been happening or not after 2 or 3 days. And then I will be able to use the SMS and I can use the advertising campaigns as well. I can use the social studio. I can combine all of them in a single customer journey. And we have plenty of data entry sources. You can use a data extension as an entry source. You can create and segment them, and you can use it as an entry source for your journey. You can also use an event. You can also use an API. Suppose if you have the data in some other sources, but you don't have it in Salesforce. In that situation, you have to send it from a different server. How do we use this API I call here? That is also something that we will be talking about. Suppose you have those customers. You have created a form in your cloud page that we have created. If any of the customers fill out the form, they will be getting the communication as per the touch point that we define here. We will talk about each and every entry sources that we have in the journey builder. Unfortunately, we will not be able to cover in Bone Chat. It really plays a very, very small role in the data entry source. Nothing to be really worried about in Bone Chat as an entry source because it really plays a very small part. Perfect. Once we cover these entry sources, we will be jumping into the activities. This is nothing but the channels. VZ SMS email, WhatsApp ad audience. Suppose if you are working for an organization, for a different organization, and you may see more activities. It depends on the licenses that we have for this particular account. You may also see in app push notification, and we may see a plenty of different activities here. It depends on the license that we have. Rate and flow control. Here we will spend our time in each and every flow control separately to understand and what are the use cases and where do we really use this engagement split and where do we really use this decision split, and we spend some really good amount of time in understanding each and every flow controls. Perfect, and we also have two of these capabilities. We also be combining them with the flow controls to update the customer information and all of them. This is also really a useful functionality in SFM. And the sales for Journey Builder becomes really super powerful when you have integrated SFM with the other platform like a sales or service cloud. There are plenty of objects that we have like our sales club sales object opportunity object task. We have a case and we have a plenty of them. Once it is integrated with your sales cloud, you will be able to also start using these objects in your Salesforce Marketing Cloud. Journey Builder. We will also do an integration part. We will also cover this integration part. I integrate a sales cloud. I have created my own developer edition. You can also create your own developer edition for free of cost. Once you get the access to this SFM platform, you can integrate two of this platform. You can also set up the synchronization data extension. The data flow will happen continuously from two of these platforms. This is something that we cover in this program. Once we complete this integration part, you can definitely come back here and then you can play around with all of these functionalities that we have here. You should be able to then make use of the task case and all of them. Suppose there are many use cases we have here. If I give an example for case, you may have probably come across the situation for sure. Like when you buy some product in Amazon or a Flipkart or a Zalando, any website. As soon as you buy a product after 7 days, you will get an email from them saying, please give a rating about your experience, purchase experience, and about the product and all of them. They'll send you an email. And suppose we are sending this email to the customers on the 7th day from the 7th day, the date of purchase, and suppose if the customer is giving you less rating, probably 1 or 2 rating out of 5, and that means definitely the customer is not happy. When the rating is less than 2, and we can use this object here in the journey directly, and then it will create a case in the sales club. What happens when the case is created? It will be assigned to one of the support team. The support team will call the customer and check with them, and if they would like to return the product or refund some money, that is something will be taken care of automatically. This is a kind of automated workflow that we can set in the Journey Builder. This is only one example that we spoke about. We have plenty of them: creating a task, creating opportunity, converting from a lead to opportunity. We spend really some good amount of time in understanding these functionalities, which may be super interesting, and it is powerful. Journey Builder is powerful when we have those Sales Cloud or a Service Cloud is being integrated. Perfect. This is what we cover. This we will be covering in the Journey Builder topic. Journey Builder is really it has a lot of functionalities. We spend some really good amount of time in understanding each and every functionalities here. Perfect. Once we are done with this topic, we will be done with the campaign side of it. Campaign Execution Consultant. Now we will be moving more into a technical side where we'll start with Automation Studio. Automation Studio and Journey Builder has almost the same functionality. It has a similar functionalities like you can also trigger an email from you. You can also trigger a push notification. You can also send SMS communication, but majorly we use an Automation Studio for data processing. We discussed about SFMC is a transactional platform. This is not the C Raman where we store all the customers. We bring in the customer information here only if they need to be connected regularly to convert them or maintain the relationship. This is not the platform for storing all the customers. How does this really work in Salesforce? For the number of subscribers that you have in SFMC, you will have to pay to the Salesforce. If your number of subscribers keep on increasing, you will also have to pay more, and the amount that you pay to Salesforce for sending out the email or sending off the push notification, it depends on how do you deliver a campaign, the number of campaigns that you deliver. But the major expense is going to be on the subscriber side. When your subscribers keep on growing and you pay more. That's why we use this SFMC more into a transactional platform. Once the lead is being generated, we bring them here if it's required, and then we send out the campaign to them. We send out the campaign to convert them into a purchase a product or buy the service and all of them. We don't use SFMC as a lead generation perfect. For a transactional platform, we need a data from different platforms. Or sometimes we also need to send the data to a different platform. We use all of these activities here, what we see here. Data extraction, file transfer, import, filter, SQL, scripting are the quite frequent activities that we do in Automation Studio. And how do we really use them, and what are the use cases? Here in Automation Studio, we work on a real-time situations. Suppose if you have a Google Analytics team and you would like to send the SFMC data to them on a daily basis. And how do you send these data? Same time, there are the use cases. There are some when customer purchase your product and it stores in a different server, and from that server we need to get a data and import that into a data extension. How do we do that? It doesn't require any like a coding experience, but we are using only the functionalities here to send the data and bring the data and all of them during the Automation Studio. This is really quite important if you are playing as SFMC consultant, FMC developer, mainly on the scripting activity. But for as a campaign specialist, you may not have a big role here in Automation Studio because it's more into data processing and then sending the data or retrieving the data and all of them. As a campaign specialist, we may not play a big role here in Automation Studio, but consultant and developer has a huge role here. Perfect. Great. Someone has a question on the chat box. In Journey Builder, coding will be there or not? No, there is no coding required. There is no coding required. Here, as we discussed, for creating an email template, for creating a landing pages, you don't need to have the experience in HTML or CSS. We can use the content builder functionalities here to drag and drop them, and then you will be able to create your own templates. For Journey Builder is more into a campaign execution site. One of the nifty feature in Salesforce Marketing Cloud is that you can drag and drop them in almost in all the studios, and then we will be able to start using them. No technical scripting is required, but if you have the experience in C, S and HT, ML, JavaScript, then it's an added value for you. Can we use HTML? For creating email template, for creating a landing pages, definitely you will have to work on the HTML part. Perfect. And moving on, we have plenty much covered all the topics here. Once automation is to use completed, we will be doing a Salesforce integration. We have a one dedicated session to complete them. We bring the data from a different tool, I mean Sales Cloud or Service Cloud to Marketing Cloud. I have a good documentation and along with the steps that you have to go through and the pre-requests that we need to have for implementation. That documentation really give you good information about bringing the data from to SFMC. We will use those steps one by one. I have all this documentation also has with the screenshots. You need in every step and what are the functionalities we have to make sure that is enabled and we use this. We have to be a little bit careful in synchronizing data because unfortunately, in Salesforce Marketing Cloud gives an option for us to not bring all the data. Maybe like a 10 years old data, 15 years old data is something that we may not require in SFMC. We have a control in what the data that we can bring in, but very limited part that we will be able to play a role when we bring out the data. We work on the Salesforce integration. That is the topic, and after that we will be having one dedicated session on AMP script. We will also be working on the simple basic AMP script session. What I will also do is, once we create this email template, we will straight away jump into a very basic AMP script here, and then we will be working in the AMP script part again in the cloud pages, and we will go back again, like to the AMP script in the email studio. And how do we use this? Post militarization for multiple countries. Suppose if your organization has a presence in multiple countries, you may have to send the email. That email should translate the content for different countries. Suppose 100 plus countries and each and every country may have a different language and one email should have the content translated for different customers. How do we achieve that using an AMP script? That is also something that we will be focusing on here, and after this we have an API. We will spend some time in API topics. When do we really use the SOAP app and REST API? And if you have to trigger a journey from your API call, if you have to send some customer information from API call, and if you have to, we discussed about triggered campaigns and how do we set this up and what are the process involved in SFMC to get this done. And we also have an install package which we use it to create the credentials for API calls. And we also spend some time there in understanding how do we create install packages. what are the components types that we have in install package. Very detailed session on API side as well. I think yes, I pretty much covered and what we will be covering in this entire program. API integration, AMP script Salesforce integration automation studio. And now also one topic that I want to mention is a contact builder. This is really important topic where we create the data relationship. You may have data coming from different platforms. You may have data from one source and another source is coming from a different platform. How those contacts are connected together. That is also something that is required. It's very important. Contact builder is very important in SFMC. We also spend some time in contact builder to understand each and every functionalities. Perfect. I think this is what we will be covering in this entire program, and as we discuss, there are no skill sets required to become as FMC specialist. But if you have experience on AMPs, AMP script is something. This language is the script is like only for SFMC and it's very easy. We'll be able to learn it like in this entire session because we work on the hands, on side and top of that. We don't have any presentation or something like that. I don't really like to the PPT and share my screen and then talk about it. Everything is going to be on the tool. We jump into the tool and then we create the components here directly and then we start working on it. And then we were talking about these skill sets. If you have experience in like a JavaScript or AP, then it will be an added value for you. But it's not really a mandatory skill set that you need to have. And finally, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.